Welcome to the ATAR Power Hour. This presentation has been created by the Queensland Tertiary Admissions Centre to provide a general overview about the transition from OP to ATAR for students, parents, and families in Queensland. The presentation will run for approximately 20 minutes. The presentation will cover the following topics. 1. We will set the scene by introducing you to some of the key organisations involved in the transition from OP to ATAR, and their roles. 2. We will discuss what an ATAR is. 3. We will outline eligibility requirements for an ATAR. 4. We will discuss what is changing in the new ATAR system. 5. We will talk about external assessment, as this is the most significant change for Queensland students and schools. 6. We will show you the 3 most common study patterns which will lead to an ATAR. 7. We will discuss the concept of scaling in broad terms. 8. We will confirm the new vocational and educational training options to continue study. 9. We will bust some common myths about the new ATAR system. And finally, we will tell you about the new study planning tool developed by QTAC, called My Path. So, let's begin. QTAC stands for the Queensland Tertiary Admissions Centre. We have been operating since 1975 and are owned by the 7 Queensland public universities. We are the primary avenue to apply to study at universities and TAFE in Queensland. Nowadays, we assess about 75,000 applications a year, from Queensland students, interstate students, international students, and mature-age students wanting to return to study. We make offers in 1,700 undergraduate courses for 16 partner institutions. We are a well-established, experienced and efficient organisation, one of 5 tertiary admissions centres in Australia. The second organisation involved in the switch to ATAR is the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority, or QCAA for short. The education industry uses a lot of acronyms, so we will try to demystify them where possible. The QCAA, formerly the Queensland Studies Authority, is a statutory body that reports to the Queensland Minister of Education, currently Kate Jones. The QCAA is responsible for syllabus development across Queensland. It also provides testing, assessment, moderation and certification services to Queensland schools. It is important to understand that the QCAA looks after all matters at school for students, and QTAC looks after all matters relating to a student applying for further study at either a university or Queensland TAFE. Our job starts when QCAA's job ends. So, what is this transition all about? Well, Queensland has been using the OP, or Overall Position System, since 1992. We are currently the only state or territory in Australia that uses the OP system to measure and rank Year 12 students. Queensland is switching to ATAR, the Australian Tertiary Admission Rank. It will apply to students starting Year 11 in 2019, the current Year 9 student cohort. QCAA is currently developing a revised curriculum in consultation with Queensland schools, and ATAR ranks will be used for students starting further study in 2021. There will be some new subjects offered such as engineering, psychology, business, literature and digital solutions. ATAR is a ranking system that has been in use in Australia for a number of years. It is important to note that ATAR is not a grade. It is a ranking system which indicates a student's position relative to other students in that same year cohort across the state. It does not measure students across different years. For example, if a student receives an ATAR of 80, that means they have performed better than 80% of the Year 12 students in that year across Queensland. Students will be measured on a 2,000-point scale, in increments of 0.05, from 99.95 down to 0. ATARs less than 30 will be expressed as 30 and below. There are 2 reasons for this. Firstly, it keeps Queensland consistent with other states and how very low ATARs are reported, and secondly, it enables a level of discretion to be maintained when reporting what is a very low ranking to a student. Here is a great representation of the changes that will be happening when the new ATAR system is introduced. It is important to mention at this stage of the presentation what the ATAR is not. The ATAR is not a measure of a student's social worth. It is not used to pick a student for a job. It will not measure how good or bad a school is, nor will it measure how well a teacher performs. There will be two ways students can gain an ATAR. Firstly, they can complete 5 general subjects, currently referred to as authority subjects. Secondly, they can complete 4 general subjects and then either an applied subject or a complete VET qualification such as a Certificate 3, Certificate 4 or Diploma. Keep in mind, one of the subjects must be an English subject. This is a significant improvement on the current system for OP, as it provides options on subject combinations for students to select from. Here are the 5 English subject options. The first 4 are general subjects. The last one, Essential English, is an applied subject. Literature is a new subject. In order to meet the requirements for an ATAR, students must satisfactorily pass their English subject. This means a passing grade of C. Here is a good example of how subject names are going to change as part of the QTAC curriculum revisions. Everyone will be familiar with Maths A, Maths B, and Maths C. Their names are now changing to General Maths, Mathematical Methods, and Specialist Maths. This is to align with the naming and conventions being used in the Australian national curriculum. On this slide are the 3 examples of study patterns that would ensure a student is on track to gaining an ATAR. The first example is a standard 5 general subject pattern: English, Math Methods, Specialist Maths, Physics, and Chemistry. The second example demonstrates the use of a VET qualification. In this example, it's a competency-based Certificate 3 in Business. The third example utilizes an applied subject, the renamed Essential English subject. Keep in mind, many students will study more than 5 subjects in Year 12, and in order to gain an ATAR, only the top 5 subject results will be used. Students need to pass English, but if it isn't in their top 5 results, it won't be used to calculate their ATAR. Another change is the shift from semesters of study to units of study. The current model uses 4 semesters of study, which is done across years 11 and 12. Progression is consecutive, which means you need to progress from semester 1 to semester 2, and so on. This current model will no longer be in use from 2019. The new system refers to units of study, with Units 1 and 2 grouped together, and Units 3 and 4 grouped together. The main difference is that they are not tied to any calendar or study year. The next slide expands on this concept. Units 1 and 2 would usually run in Year 11. They are what is referred to as formative units. They provide feedback to students on how they are progressing through the subject, and they will have between 2 and 4 internal assessments. Units 1 and 2 will not be used to calculate the ATAR. Units 3 and 4 are the summative units which will usually, but not always, be undertaken in Year 12. The results for Units 3 and 4 will be based on 3 internal assessments across the year and then an external assessment to be held over a 3 to 4 week block, most likely in October and November. Interestingly, Queensland has not had external assessment as part of its curriculum for over 30 years. The reintroduction of external assessment will enable a more robust, transparent, and equitable system for all Year 12 students. Let's discuss the external assessment more on the next slide. External assessment will usually be in the form of an exam. External assessments will be common across all Queensland schools, and will take place at the same time, on the same day. The assessments will take place in Term 4, spaced out over a 3 to 4 week period, likely finishing mid-November. They will only assess material covered in Units 3 and 4. Maths and science subjects will have a weight of 50% attached to the external assessment. The other general subjects will have a weight of 25%. The important thing to note here is the external assessment mark will not moderate the marks already received from the internal assessment components. Other states use the external assessment result to scale the internal results. Queensland will not be doing this. For example, a student in literature with 70 out of 75 in the internal assessments will head into the external assessment with 70 marks already banked. The remaining 25% will come from their performance in the external assessment. Students will then receive a number grade out of 100 and a letter grade from A to E. Applied subjects like Essential English will only receive a letter grade. This slide shows the sequence of events from when the subject results are collated by QCAA. Remember, QTAC's job starts when QCAA's job finishes. Once QCAA collates all the results, they will send them all to QTAC, where we will input them, then calculate the individual ATARs and scale the results. ATARs will be released to students at about the same time as OPs, around the 18th of December. ATAR results will also be released to schools. Scaling is one of the topics that tends to get a lot of airtime, sometimes for the wrong reasons. Scaling has actually been in use in Queensland since the OP system was introduced in the early 1990s. QTAC has created a short video which explains how scaling works. This video is available on the QTAC website, and we strongly recommend you take a look at it. So, the message really hasn't changed since the days of the TE score back in the 1970s. Students should choose subjects they are good at, subjects they enjoy, and subjects that are prerequisites for the courses they want to apply for. One thing scaling has taught us is that, historically, STEM subjects, such as science, engineering, and maths, have scaled higher than other subjects. This is because, traditionally, the students who take the more challenging subjects tend to perform better, so the subject scales up. This is expected to continue in the ATAR system. Vocational Education and Training, or VET, has been an important pathway to tertiary study for Queensland students for many years. In fact, a recent study established that approximately 37% of all VET study in schools nationally could be found in Queensland. In the new system, VET will be used for entry to further study in two ways. Firstly, as previously mentioned, a Certificate 3 or 4, diploma, or advanced diploma could be the fifth input into an ATAR. Secondly, the VET qualification will be recognized as a standalone basis for admission. For example, when reporting on entry requirements for a particular course in the future, the entry requirements might read, an ATAR of 72.50, or a completed AQF Certificate 3 or higher level VET qualification. So, how will a VET qualification be included in an ATAR? Each qualification level will have a single scaled score that will then be included with the other subjects in calculating a student's ATAR. All Certificate 3 qualifications will scale the same, regardless of their duration, area of study, provider, or volume of learning. The same will apply for Certificate 4 qualifications, diplomas and advanced diplomas. We anticipate that a scaled score for an advanced diploma will be higher than a diploma, and so on. We will not know how the VET qualifications will scale until December 2020. Part of QTAC's role is to work with universities to administer bonus schemes. These bonus schemes provide additional rank points to students, to recognize areas such as the Educational Access Scheme, which assists disadvantaged students, taking a university subject while at school, completing a second language subject or challenging subject such as Maths C. Bonus points based on a student's school, address, or bonus points for elite athlete performance. These bonus schemes will continue after the transition to ATAR, and will simply be added onto the ATAR a student earns. For example, a student may have an ATAR of 84, and earn 3 additional bonus points for their school and a university subject, which would take their ATAR to 87. QTAC would then assess their course preferences based on an ATAR of 87. When QTAC spoke to school principals and careers advisors earlier in 2017 about the introduction of the ATAR, there were some questions and assumptions that were regularly raised. we decided to address them and bust some myths along the way. So, can certain subjects like physics increase a student's ATAR? No, they can't. The best way a student can maximize their result is by performing well. Is there a pattern of subjects that will guarantee the top ATAR? No, however, we do know that historically, the very high ATAR results like 99.95 are usually only possible from 5 general subjects, not vet or applied subjects. Does it matter where a student lives or what school they attend? No, this won't feature in the ATAR calculation. It will be used, if relevant, to allocate university bonus points. Will QTAC have an ATAR calculator for students or schools to use? No, we will only release the actual ATARs. We have no doubt that there will be a cottage industry springing up to offer you a great ATAR calculator for a bargain price. However, please note that in order to accurately calculate the ATARs, you need the full Queensland student data. And there are only 2 organisations who will have this: QCAA and QTAC. Purchase ATAR calculators at your peril. Will QTAC provide any predictive scaling information before 2020? No, we won't be trying to predict how certain subjects scale. QCAA is introducing a number of new subjects, and these will impact on student enrollments in current subjects. This will definitely skew any attempt to predict inter-subject scaling. Schools have historical scaling information which may be used as a guide. QTAC will be releasing the actual scaled subject information as soon as it is available in December 2020. QTAC had developed an online career and subject planning tool for Year 10 students, called MyPath. MyPath will allow students to work through a series of drill-down questions to assist them to identify career and study options. Using their school set plans, MyPath will allow students to populate their Year 11 and 12 subjects with a study course outcome in mind. MyPath will be able to confirm if the subject choices will result in an ATAR, and finally, it will be able to confirm if the student will meet any course prerequisites. Into Years 11 and 12, MyPath will notify students when QTAC applications open, and can also notify students of deadlines for auditions, interviews, exams or submissions for further study. QTAC will be offering MyPath free of charge to every school and Year 10 student in early 2018. For lots more information on the planned changes to the Queensland curriculum, the QCAA has significant resources available on its website for parents and families. This screenshot shows the landing page for the resources, and the left-hand column has a number of links to information and fact sheets. This is a great resource, and one that parents should investigate if they want more information about the curriculum changes. QTAC is only a mouse click away. Please go to our website for further information on the ATAR, or email us at atar@qtac.edu.au. It has been a pleasure talking to you today. We trust that this short video and presentation has provided you with some tangible information on the transition to the ATAR.